What's up, guys? Blake here with Backcountry Ski and Sport, located in beautiful Salem, Virginia. Today I'm going to be doing a walkthrough of my Atak 140 by Wilderness Systems. Now, the things that I outline in this video are totally interchangeable with the Atak 120. In fact, I've rigged them exactly the same. I'll start out with some of the basic things that I've done that I'm probably not going to outline in the video. I've got my lever lock anchor trolley on the left side of the boat so it stays clear of my rudder controls. What I've done is I've run it on the top of the boat rather than below the seam. It really just keeps it away from the water line, and I've seen a bunch of boats that have them below the seam and they're right at the water line, and where you put holes in the boat, I always like to keep water as far away from that as possible. Another thing that I've done is I've added a pull strap to my boat, and it's a quick release buckle, so if anything were to happen and I go down, it'll come apart super easy. You unclip it, I'll run it through a belt loop, clip it back, and that way my boat is secured to me and it's not going to drift away when I'm wade fishing. Another thing that I've done to the front of my boat is I've added a lizard skin baseball bat grip. What this does is it eliminates some of the heat that you're going to encounter when you go to pick these handles up after being in the sun all day. It also gives you a little bit of extra grip if your hands are wet or anything like that. Now, the front hatch here, the same hatch that's on the Atak 120, this one's just a little bit longer. Open it up. In here I've got a dry box, my net. Let's just all be real, I don't catch fish big enough to need a net, so it kind of stays in here most of the time. We've got an extra set of fish grips as well as a buff in here too. Alrighty, so in the cockpit of the boat, it's really where everything kind of happens, where all of your gadgets are that are kind of in your in-reach area. So I'll start out, I've got the rudder grip paddle holder by Atak. It's holding my Aquabound Manta Ray Hybrid 250. Also, I've got a fish finder unit in the flex pod. It's not an extravagant unit, it's just the Lowrance Elite 4 Chirp. Nothing very special about this depth finder. It gets the job done. It's got a chart plotter, so that's all I need. Moving back, in this little storage bin here, I keep all of my Z-Man lures. Can't be on the water without these guys. These Z-Man mushroom heads are killer. Be sure and get the weedless ones though, because they're expensive. So next, I'll show you my anchor system, or the way that I rig mine at least. On this side, I've got the lever lock anchor trolley by Atak. What I use as an anchor in the river and in flat water is a 9-pound window weight. So what I'll do is whenever I'm ready to drop the anchor, I'll run the trolley to wherever I need it to go. But before that, I'll run my entire anchor rope up through your loop on the trolley. Tuck all my anchor rope under my seat. When I'm ready, I'll drop the anchor, let it feed out to wherever it needs to go, and then the excess rope that I've got, I'll take and I'll cleat it off in my zigzag cleat. Now this cleat really, I've used cam cleats, I've used other types of cleats. This one I've had the best luck with it holding in really heavy current, but it's all a matter of personal preference. And this is held in by 2 tri-fold pop rivets, and I've had it in some pretty strong currents on the James, and it's held just fine. So on my seat, I've got my line cutter. Can't be on the water without that. Tucked in beside the seat, I've also got my fish grips. You can't be on the water without these either. You catch a nice muskie, you're not going to want to lip those. I'm currently using an NRS Chinook life jacket. I've had really good experiences with this jacket. It is cut out in the back, so it's a lot more comfortable when you're sitting in the seat. Gives you a good amount of pockets, and there's a lot of adjustability. If someone's coming with me that doesn't have a PFD, I've got a spare. I might loan them my good one. The seat is the AirPro Max seat. It's also got a high and low function, so you can slide it, put it in the high position here, and in the low position here. Most of the time I'll keep mine in the low position. It's already pretty high up off the boat, so I really enjoy it in the low position. It makes paddling a little bit easier too, because it deflects the wind or you don't catch as much wind. The seat is also on a track, so if I'll take my paddle off, you'll be able to see the track right here. You just loosen these two guys, and then the other two on the opposite side, and your seat's able to slide forward and back. So if I'm in more open water, flat water, I'll take my seat and slide it a little bit more forward. That'll put the bow in the water a little bit farther. If I'm in the river, I'll take, well, before I just bought an Atak 120, so it's not, I'll use it in the river most of the time. But what you can do with this guy is slide it all the way back. That'll trim your bow up out of the water a good amount, and that gives you more maneuverability in the river. That's pretty much it for the cockpit of my boat. We'll move on back to the back and I'll show you kind of how I arrange things back there. Alrighty, so at the back of my boat, this is where I keep the really important items that aren't quite important enough to keep in the cockpit with me, except for my camera gear, of course. I've got my hog trough bungeed to my black pack. It sits here vertical, nice and tight. I've started carrying a watershed dry bag. This model here is the Akoi. They also make one that's a little bit bigger, but still small enough to carry in the kayak with you. It's called the Shatuga. Now the way that you open these guys is you put your thumb through the loops, twist your bag, and it'll come open. What you'll need to do probably every 6 months or so is add a little bit of 303 protectant to these seals. It just makes it easier to open. This is almost kind of like a Ziploc bag seal, and I trust it completely. The bag comes with a price tag. It's $112, but I'll spend $112 to keep a good amount of camera gear dry. Well worth the money. I've got the black pack by Atak. Keep tackle boxes, a waterproof speaker, and other accessories in this. My Z-Man plastics. Can't be on the water without those. Now if I'm fishing saltwater, I've got a fillet knife if I'm using cut bait. It's nice to have this right behind you, easily accessible. If I can't find my pliers or something, it's nice to have this to be able to reach around and cut line with. Now I've got 3 vertical rod holders on my black pack. I'll use these if I'm in open water or where there's no trees. What I'll do if I'm in an area where there's a lot of trees, I'll put my rods in these 2007 rod holders by Ram. I've got one on this side as well. I've also got a Visicarbon Pro by Atak. It's your light flag combo that folds up into the flag, so it's nice and compact. This hatch here is where I keep my rods if I'm transporting the boat. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but I added some extra weather stripping in here just to keep it a little bit more watertight. I've also got my rudder. The rudder is really essential for a boat this big. It makes it easy to turn, but it also gives you even more tracking ability. That's pretty much it for my Atak 140. If you guys have any questions, feel free to give me a shout. My name's Blake Chitwood. Find me on Facebook. I work at Backcountry again here in Salem. If you guys have any questions, just give me a shout. Thanks for watching.